Ladies and gentlemen, and viewers of all ages, welcome back to another episode of the Gloves Off podcast, coming to you guys live from all of our bedrooms across the country. I'm Master Hand Games Koopa. I've been absent for the last couple weeks, so it's been a long couple weeks, between moving various people, and there was a literal thunderstorm that hit last week, so I didn't have internet for a few days. But we're here. Has and Chris held down the fort nicely. It only took me 2 years to finally miss an episode, guys. So way to go.
You know what, man? Yeah, it's okay. Sometimes you can't be here. Although I have to be here all the time, though. That
is true.
Yeah, I always have to be here.
You are the straw that stirs the drink. Without you, we're fucked. So.
No, man, it's been good, and I've been feeling pretty good about the podcast recently. I'm gonna probably make a push to be more instead of just putting it out, actually putting it out, because now that we have these cameras and the production's sort of gotten better, I just feel a little bit better about it, and I feel like
I'm on a tripod. This is my production.
Look at this. It's almost
for the budget's going.
This is the most professional I think this podcast has ever been able to be. So with that, I feel like now it's time to actually really, bring it home.
Aside from the fact that I fucked up my beard, I don't know if I showed.
Oh yeah, look at that.
No, we'll censor it. We'll censor it out in post.
Yeah, we'll it out. The thing was, the thing about working from home is especially on Tuesdays, my really busy calls are I have calls from 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. On Tuesdays, and so I shave it after my lunch break. I shave, clean up my neck, clean up my beard a little bit, but I didn't realize that I had the razor on a 1. It's usually I just have it at an 8, and I just kind of clean it up. There's a clump of hair here, so this is the first thing I went for. I just heard zzz, a really deep. You know what I mean? I didn't. It wasn't the normal, light, it was. Zzz. So I had this, and I had calls with 5 of my clients back to back. I was like, oh, no big deal, I guess. So what I did, and I was telling you guys this before, is I put all my stuff on this monitor, so I'd be facing this way the whole time.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Good strategy.
It worked. I'm really sorry.
And you even covered your bases too, because everyone knows now. So if they catch it, they're not gonna be like, yeah, all right.
I don't give a shit.
That's cool.
I think one of the worst part about growing a beard, I don't regret this decision at all. But the anxiety every time I go to clean it up, because as I said this before we started, but my barbers are not doing beards during COVID right now which is fine. I'm not gonna break a guy's balls when I want to get sick. Nah, man, I don't want to be a Karen. If I'm a Karen in a mask, if I'm a Karen in a mask,
oh
my god, that's
So
I hate that.
All right. So on that, let's get back on track here, because this is actually this is a good one today.
Yeah, it was a pretty eventful, last week. We're gonna talk about obviously the stealth update and patch 8.1, which brought us a small battlefield. I can't even find a joke for that. Look how adorable it is.
You didn't have to. Twitter found all of them.
Yeah, it's play, dude. I had the last good joke about small battlefield. That's it. It died after that. That's it.
Anybody make a Jordan Sparks joke or about that yet? But never mind. I'm dating myself. But
I hope not. It sounds like it'd be better if they didn't. I actually don't get the joke. Can you explain it to me?
There's Jordan Sparks made a song called Battlefield.
Oh wait, is it that old that?
Oh, Love is a Battlefield. That's the song, right?
That's what I'm thinking of.
Battlefield.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Is that the same?
Sparks?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, all right, nice. I
Good for him.
Yeah, dude, what a G. That song's really popular. Song's really.
Yeah, wait, make that tweet.
Daughter of no, I'm good. Daughter of former New York Giants cornerback Philippi Sparks. You don't know who that is? It's fine. Neither does he. But so we're gonna talk about that. No, he was a very not good player. In the NFL.
I see. Okay. All right, let's
my dad told me this joke years ago where he was just they used to call him Toast because he'd get burnt in coverage every Sunday.
Dude, that is a dad joke, man. That kind of nails it.
That's a rough nickname.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
But, that's fucking rough.
Yeah, that's bad. You don't want to. I think there's another safety. There's another safety to play for the Giants whose name was C.C. Brown, and he was also awful, and they called him Can't Cover Brown. Because
dude, imagine
That was hard, straightforward.
that's just like a hard insult, right? You're just like, you suck, Brown.
Your name is sucks at your job. Can't do anything right, Brown. It's like, all right.
Stupid idiot.
That
Can't
guy.
read.
Yeah, that guy went. That guy went to where all good. What did you say?
You didn't have to put his last name in there. It's just you suck. You know, like that's his nickname.
Yeah.
Like you suck.
Now that well, good for him. He went to where all good NFL careers go to die. That's Detroit. But we actually can talk about that later.
We're talking about
which we will. But
actual.
We're gonna talk about Small Battlefield. We got a Pikmin 3 Deluxe and what that could potentially look like for Nintendo's fall lineup, and as well as we're gonna talk about what the restart of sports has looked like for the last month or so, and how that could potentially affect esports going forward in 2021. But we're gonna start with no pun intended, the small stuff first, ladies and gentlemen. We got a stealth update.
We could have made a Blink-182 All the Small Things reference as well.
Dude, it's actually kind of appropriate this time around because they literally kind of did all of the things people were looking for. Like all the little small things. Yeah, dude, you nailed it. And that's all the small things that were actually really big things, like the latency online.
Can we get snaps in the chat for Hazmat?
Isn't that what it's about? That song? Isn't it like all the small things, but like they're actually,
Yeah, they're really prefacing small battlefields in 2020. They're prophets.
Fucking ready for it.
Yeah, unless you're. Is roses by the stairs really a small thing though? Roses are expensive.
Wait, dude. So anyways, small battlefield. Not only is it a legal stage that we have now, which is crazy because we've been in need of legal stages, but also they fix online latency in a time where we really needed it because that's all we can do. So it does really kind of make you think. They're like, okay, they're obviously paying attention. They're making the efforts, and this literally came out of nowhere. There was no announcement for this. They just kind of did it.
Those were literally the two biggest complaints, especially right now. The biggest one, obviously, being connection speed, all that shit. It's literally like. Because remember when Moist Critical hosted this tournament, and it literally just timed out in the middle. Like it was perfectly fine, coasting great, and then it just
happens to everyone, man. That's the problem.
So that's a bad look. That's a terrible look.
Yeah, and it's uncontrollable. But,
you got it right there. Oh no, you got that.
No. We don't need to see Nintendo server dropping.
Yeah, we've all seen that.
Yeah, we've seen that a million times. I'm just kind of getting some small Battlefield gameplay because. This was a big deal. I was
just going to say, fun fact, this is the first legal stage to be added via DLC since Dreamland back in 2015. Because Dreamland came with the Roy. Yes, because Dreamland came with the Roy and
Lucas, yeah.
And
that came. Yeah, Roy, so that yep. Yeah, so that was leaked in June of 20. It was released in June of 2014. It leaked like a couple weeks early, but. Yeah, the fact that it's been 5 years since they've like added a stage, like DLC wise, not counting stages like Kalos and Pokemon Stadium 2, through this, it's just like you said, I've always stressed in like other podcasts when it comes to like, bug fixes and character nerfs that Nintendo, while they are they do tend to cut corners on most things, they do like listen to us, like they do hear what we say. So I'm glad that this is happening, and maybe this means we can get more stealth updates with little bug fixes throughout the summer and the rest of the year.
The two biggest things are so the two biggest complaints are first the connection, second was stage list. Like that's always a point of contention. Like there are literally people who that's a part of their brand. Like I like X stage or I hate X stage. Like that's the thing. And this stage is very, very well liked, and it's something that we needed. It's a smaller stage. It's got two platforms. I think it's great for the meta. I think it's at least something. Both these things combined, super fresh take for the game. A lot of people got back into it. Not to mention a new character, all those other balance changes and shit that came out that were kind of not ignored, but like not as hype as I think. Because honestly, because Minden wasn't as hype as people wanted. I like her, but.
Well, the thing,
I get
it brought some characters to life. Like Ike, for example, is like he may have been like. You may have thought he was high tier before, or at least approaching, but now he definitely is. Like the character's good now. Like he has an up B out of shield. It kills you.
His up B looks like a glitch. Like it looks.
The thing is, though, canonically, that move should destroy you. Like you should.
Yes.
You should explode from that. Aether is literally like a godlike move in Fire Emblem and destroys things. So it makes sense that it would do that. And also, like he still has all the same weaknesses he did before. He just has a little bit more like he's got a huge. Sword.
He hits hard.
He's got more ways to kill you.
Hard. outside of like forward smash though, like that was always the thing. Like, yeah, he hits hard, but it's like fucking how do you hit them with his hard hitting moves aside from like back air basically?
Yeah, well,
yeah, and then you look at.
Hi guys.
No, I was just gonna say, like, you look at characters, other characters like I love, like Kirby and Falco, all these characters that are, fan favorites and for the most part on the lower end of things, getting some bug fixes. And granted, whether you like it or not, I know people were pretty up in arms, being like, why would you make a move that's already fast, like even faster and stuff like that? So like, they're not getting, like, I'd say everything right, but they're making these characters without having to completely gut the top tiers, like what happened with Sheik in Smash 4.
So
they're able to make these fixes while also keeping the cream of the crop at the top.
Balance patches are like, that's all opinion too. You know what I mean? Like someone might hate every single thing they did, but you can't. Literally, no one's sitting at home and saying, "I wish they didn't fix or try to make the connection better."
Yeah.
Even adding in a new stage, you can't be like, "Oh, I wish they didn't add that stage," because you don't have to use it in a rule set if you don't want to. Like that's optional. So all these things are good, and it made me wonder. I don't know what you guys think. Do you think they saw that hashtag that Meru started that said, fix Ultimate Online? It was trending at one point.
It was trending a few times.
So
I do. I totally think so. I think they definitely did. I think that's sort of. I think that's sort of the idea, though. Like, and I think that's a good thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's like a good thing.
Here's my next connecting conspiracy theory thing. This was a stealth release. They didn't do a direct or any big thing for this. So it does feel like they were doing something for the community. But based on all the shit that's been going on with the community, they didn't want to make a big ruckus about it because it seemed like they were doing something for us, and they had all the content, and then they were ready to release it, and then all this shit happened. And then they that's my guess. That's my guess, dude. Because why wouldn't they make a bigger deal about this? It's free content. It's awesome. It's a huge deal. Yeah. It's a huge fucking deal.
It is a big deal. It is a really big deal, especially because it literally can affect how tournaments run, online tournaments, making them a lot better, because there are ways, and yours truly knows the way, that you can stream one-on-one lobbies. Like, that can happen. So like you think about that, all of a sudden the results are a lot less wonky. All of a sudden, like people, it's not going to solve all the issues, but it is going to make things better. If anything, this is the most excited I think I've seen anybody about Smash in months. Probably since Frostbite. This is probably the most excited at peak. Like, DLC didn't really do it. No one really cared about Min Min that much. It was like, okay, cool, new character at that point. There was a lot of other stuff going on, and everyone was just like about as low as you could get. And now we're at a point where people are like, well, we still want to play the game. COVID's still a thing. Can't go anywhere. But now, we could play better. And there's already data on this, right? Like, 1v1 lobby sends like 60 packets per second or something, and this was like a Nerf Zero tweet. And then like a group lobby is 30 packets per second, whatever that means. It's literally doubling down on whatever.
It wasn't at the very. I don't know all the data and all that shit.
I don't really either. I'm going off of like a couple tweets.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust that shit either. Like,
to be real.
At the very least, like the initial searches seem like a real effort was made, which is pretty fucking cool.
Hell yeah, dude! Dude, that's a.
However,
it
seems like they don't want to give it a lot of fucking attention.
So I think
it works pretty good for us, and it seems like
I think it's because they're just sort of fearful at the mob. Because like if you say you're going to do something and then it comes out not the right way, then all of a sudden it's like, you suck, Nintendo. You said you're going to do this, you didn't do this, or you did it wrong. Of course Nintendo did this wrong. They're just doing it on their own terms. Like they even ran their own like little like invitational thing. Remember they did their region tournaments like a month or so back. Do you remember this? They did it. I don't think it's still happening, and they probably went through it, figured out what they needed to do. And I said this.
I think it was throughout the month of July.
Dude, I said this months ago because they did this with Mario Kart. They had their North American Open, and they've been doing it. They're figuring out what their lobbies could handle, and now they're doing their controlled Smash thing. They don't want to make a big deal of it, but they're using the data. Like, dude, they have to be with this shadow update. You cannot tell me. Like, they're obviously looking to see like what the connections are like, because especially Mario.
For what reason? For what reason? Why are they doing that?
Probably because this would present them an ability to have more control over their games competitively. If they could make their own official stuff and sort of control it within, they know what the connections are. It kind of clues that in, and they're at a point now where that would make sense with all the fallout recently. And they even had a commercial of a player who can't, it's redacted. Like, of course, like what? There's incentive for them now. They're like, oh, whatever, we'll just do this.
I feel like they wouldn't want to touch it. Like, if I'm them, I'm looking at this community and I'm looking at, Smash, competitive Smash right now, the connections to it are not positive. So it seems like
on the level that we're at, but that's what I was saying, and this kind of goes back to the let the community die sort of mindset. Not that it dies, it's just there's a lot more people in the world and a lot more things going on and people who want competitive stuff. Like I just think about like that Wendy's Open. Do you guys remember that? Like Wendy's, the restaurant, had like a me only tournament, and like that like actually had some like viewership. Like dude, it was awful. But like it looked like a fever dream. I think I have a tweet of
custom
it.
stage that was like a box of nuggets.
Dude, I'll find I'll find it in a minute. But
did they have that?
No, they didn't have that. It was literally just you picked your Wendy me, and you could only use Wendy me's. So there was 3 Wendy's that you could pick: a gunner, a brawler, and dude, this definitely happened. Now I feel like I had a weird fever dream, but I promise you it's real. I will send you this. The point is though, is like there's still people that want there's still people that want to do things like competitive ultimate. It doesn't matter who is involved or who can't be involved. Like people with money and just want to move the world forward, like, they don't give a shit about that. So like if they're Nintendo and if you do have people potentially wanting to do stuff with your game and they showed you a bag of money or something like an idea that could translate to it, I mean, why wouldn't they do it? They don't want to have to worry about the logistics of switches and monitors going to hotels. They don't want that. Like, why would you ever want that? Plus the upfront investment of that too. So if they're able to get things more controlled online, run their own things, they might not. Again, I don't know. They might not want this at all, honestly. But I do think it's like they totally may not. But in reality, it still puts it more in their hands. Like,
so like the.
Which we could use, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Like the way that I see it is that I think it just goes back to the fact that they listen to us. That they do give a shit about what we say. You know, a lot of people will, I mean, to an extent, you know, I think so because I think back again. I always did. I always use it. That's up for debate, obviously. But
it is up for debate.
You know, of course it is, but you know, the way that things are going, they obviously can see that, you know, people are, you just look at the landscape of things. People are inside more. People aren't going to tournaments for obvious reasons right now. So they're like, okay, what can we do to make it so that this game is still the #1 selling fighting game of all time? What can we do to ensure that people are still going to want to play this game for long stretches of time, because you don't want your friends coming over to your house right now to potentially get you sick. I got it. Let's beef up, the thing that everyone's been complaining about for years now, which is the Wi-Fi.
That's great, but they're not advertising it. So how are they moving more units if they're
I don't get it either.
So I really think they don't want.
They did for us. No, they fucking took it away, dude.
Dude, I seriously think they just don't give a shit. I think they don't care about the press. I think they're just on their own. I think they're just on their own thing about it. It's the same with everything else. Like, why is it taking this long to get any online out of Nintendo? Like, this was literally impossible. Like, in the time when Xbox Live was coming around, and a few years in, you couldn't even play a Wii online. Like, you remember, bro? Like, dude, unplayable, unplayable. So the thing
I think I got one good game of Brawl Wi-Fi once. It was fine for like a couple of hours.
Lucky man, people would have killed for that. So the thing is like you literally couldn't even do it, you know? And then as far as Nintendo's aware, and to your point, Koopa, is, you know, they were always sort of doing that, you know, sit next to your friend, play locally, like here's our games, our 2 players, they're split screen still, all these things. But in actuality, it's just the new climate of things, it doesn't happen. Now everything's remote and online. They have to.
If that's your goal, to like sell more units or give more people to play your game, why aren't you telling people about it?
I think it's probably, I really think it's because they don't want to get like harassed. I do think they do things in their own time. And I also think that they've always sort of been that, like, you know, you make your good product and it stands. This is me as a Nintendo fanboy. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But that's what it feels like. I can't blame them for not wanting to.
Well, I also just think I think it's just a product of Nintendo being last to the. I think it's a product of Nintendo being last to the party when it comes to online experience.
Yeah, because
Nintendo's been last to the party for any of the major system things. It took them 2014 was when they released their first HD system, which other people had gotten that 10, 12 years earlier.
That's
They've
true.
just naturally been late to the party on everything.
Yeah, like all the component cables on the GameCube, that wasn't even normal for them.
Yeah.
But I think we're all on the same page where this is fucking weird. Like, why did this happen?
It is weird.
Dude, I think
so. My
Yeah, well, it is. It's out of character.
Yeah.
At the very least.
And what I was going to say was, like...
at the very least.
And in this day and age, like, you make a big fucking deal about that shit when you do it.
I don't think they're confident in it yet. Because, you know what I mean? Because the second they say something, you know, people are just waiting to just say anything. And I feel like Nintendo's in a position where they have enough announcements game-wise and just anything that they're doing where an internet improvement just goes as a shadow. All of a sudden, people like to enjoy it more. Why do we even need to point out that it sucked before? The game was already selling well. Like, why do we even need to point it out? So, like, you know what I mean?
You
like,
want people to use it. You want people to know.
So that's it. I think people are going to use it always. People are always going to play.
Then why tell people at all?
I don't know. They've been keeping us monitored on all the updates in general, so I could see that. Like, that's why it dropped as like shadow update, almost like a patch note. You know what I mean? I agree. Like, I agree that it's like weird, but I also just think, dude, I just think that's the company. I really do.
It's possible. Yeah. It's so possible.
I think it's that.
Thinking it, they're just fucking idiots. Very possible.
Hey, take it easy on Nintendo. All right?
I love Nintendo so much, dude, but this is insane.
But like also just piggybacking off at it, this isn't the first time where they've just kind of like, you know, well, this is the first instance of them just dropping something that like changes the landscape of the game majorly without saying anything. Because when they announced Joker, we went with radio silence for months, and then they dropped a YouTube video being like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Joker comes out tomorrow."
But they made a YouTube video and they advertised it. That's a huge advertisement. Yeah. They didn't do anything for this.
Yeah.
Thing.
No, I agree.
The thing is, that's it though. Like they don't really have to advertise because their next DLC character, even if the internet had nothing better at all, like they would still, you know, the game is still going to market itself.
Why?
Like you see something like this, and you're like, holy shit, I'm going to play Smash. You're not thinking like, oh wait, that the online sucks, and I've heard this and that thing. You're just like, I'm just going to play.
I think a lot of people think that. Well, not a lot.
Well, just our little piece of the puzzle, I feel like, does think like that. And I do think a little bit of that is just like an entitled community we have.
No, because think about it too. This is around the time where Smash got booted from EVO Online. Remember that? That was terrible press. So
yeah,
I think that was part of it too. That's horrible. That's a really, really bad look for your company.
Maybe that was rock bottom for them. Maybe they were like, okay, maybe we do need to address this.
I don't think that's because like, oh, we couldn't do EVO. That's embarrassing. It's like, wow, our online is so fucking bad. That might actually impact our sales or people paying for the online. People pay for the online now. If it's so bad it can't be used at EVO, why the fuck are people paying for it? I saw a billion of those tweets.
Yeah.
Not to mention that like Nintendo Online is like, not to mention that Nintendo Online is only like offered with like 4 or 5 games, and if one of those games like if the experience for it is trash, why are you gonna spend the money on it?
But that's my thing. Like, I don't know why you make a product change, invest time and resources into something as big as updating the internet and adding in a new stage, which I feel like the new stage is probably pretty low, like maintenance wise, but improving the internet doesn't sound like an easy thing at all. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure they're paying for a lot more resources and all that shit. Why do you make a product change and not advertise it?
Because I think it's probably not done. I just think about all of the unfinished stuff by Nintendo. Maybe. Just think about the Wii U as a console, right? This is a topic today. We're talking about Pikmin 3. That Wii U is literally a prototype for the Switch when you break it down.
Why not say this is phase 1? We're hoping to do. Well, I guess you don't want to.
Well, because that's the thing is like then they're stuck. And they're a big company, so like they say something, that reach is massive. Yeah, and they have a lot of shit going on. Like, think about all the topics we've covered on this podcast. Everything's Nintendo, right? From Pokemon Unite to all these Smash updates. We're going to be talking about Pikmin 3 today, and how basically just this, how the Wii U was just like, it's irrelevant now, sold nothing. People knew what it was, but all of those games are amazing and are now ported, including Pikmin 3. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the thing. I just feel like they do the things, even with the nunchuck from a regular Wii, that's evolved now into a Joy-Con. Like they're pushing the envelope, but I think they push it so far where it's like the marketing gets forgotten, or they forget to really tell you what's going on, or and then they release some banger game, and then before you know it, that's what everyone and that's Nintendo. And I think this has been the case forever. That's why there's so many DS versions of DSs, DSIs, DS Lites, and then like 3DSs and 3DS XLs and 3DS XL or new 3DS XL. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's all these things because they move and they look like they don't know what they're doing in the process. But then you see the finished product and you play it and you're like, holy, this is good. Like, this is what I'm doing right now is fantastic.
And carried by their games.
They are, but is that such a bad thing? Like, in a world where no one else is?
No, I know. That's why they're there. Yeah, it's the one thing no one else can do is make good games, good unique titles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or unique IPs locked in, loaded. They have the best ones by miles and miles and miles.
Yeah.
And miles and miles and miles. Like, even Pokemon alone. Like, what the fuck? What does PlayStation have? Or, like, Halo? That was the thing. 2002.
Yeah, that was Xbox. Xbox. Don't even get me started on Xbox. There's nothing unique about an Xbox at all. But the thing about like Sony, what they do is Sony's a media company, right? They're not a video game company. They're a media company. And
Yes.
and in that their games are media games. You play you play Uncharted, you play Metal Gear Solid. You're watching a movie. You're playing maybe half of the time. And those are like that's cool. That's an experience, and that's nice, and there's a huge draw for that, and it's worth it. But it's also like you're not just pressing A and B and doing a level, and you're also like, it's just different immersion. It's selling something different. You're selling technology versus selling the idea of a game that immerses with you, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to spend my time doing this. It's just so that's why none of the characters are memorable because they're just literally doing here's how good the technology is, and it's not even the best anymore. That's where Xbox screwed themselves too because you're never gonna get better than a PC. Right. All they have is Halo, and that's it. Like everything else you don't need an Xbox for anything.
So here's a question that I'm gonna pose to you guys. We got this stealth update. Like obviously very strange. We can all agree on that. It was out there, but with the state of the climate, the way things are right now, Sakurai even stated in the last direct, that it's hard to get into the office now because of everything going on with the pandemic, and they had to send him equipment to his house and stuff like that, and they have enough to be able.
I forgot we saw his house.
He has a nice couch.
Yeah.
It's a very nice couch. That's been my favorite part about quarantine, like watching sports shows and talk shows, just like. Judging the quality of furniture in like a very rich person's house.
Crazy.
Anyway, yeah, it's ridiculous. But do you think that this could be the wave, moving forward until things get back to some semblance of normal? Do we need, are we going to see another Nintendo Direct before the end of the year, or are we just going to get these? Hey, like here's an update video, or here's just a random change to the game. Are we going to get like what we get for Pikmin 3, where they just kind of drop a video being like, oh yeah, by the way, this is coming out in October. So I think
we're going to see a lot more of this. I think this is the wave, and I think that the way the new normal, as it's been sort of talked about, like this, where you're looking at Sakurai sitting in his living room, like this is it for a while. And this is a topic we're going to get to in a bit later, even just with sports, how that sort of dictates. Just because no one knows how many people could be in a room, no one knows still about what's acceptable, what's not. We're all kind of at the whim of this, but it seems like those decisions might be far and often away. So I do think updates like this, where they're just kind of slowly working on their stuff, is probably it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things go. But again, moving on. Speaking of strange things that were updated, like Chris alluded to, and like it showed in the overlay. We got the announcement of Pikmin 3 Deluxe coming to the Nintendo Switch, continuing the trend that Nintendo's been doing since the Switch came out, where they're taking old IPs that were released on the Wii U and porting them to the system that's selling like hotcakes. So like Chris alluded to, have put some respect on Zombie U's name, first of all, Chris.
Well,
the Wii U's not dead just yet. So
yeah, just yet.
Wii U had a good ass library.
Dude, the Wii U, it really did. And the thing is, no one knew what the console was, though, because they thought it was just another version of the Wii. That's what we were saying earlier with the DSs. Like, no one knew what a DSi was. Terrible marketing. So this is exactly why
it's like the worst system they've ever made.
Has to everything you were saying.
Look at
earlier.
How much dust is on this thing. Look at it.
You could literally go in the backyard and bury that thing now, because Pikmin 3 was like the real relevant, I would say, IP left. Because even Wonderful 101 got their port.
Bayonetta 1 and 2.
Yeah, Bayonetta 1 and 2. Tropical Freeze. That game is amazing. The only thing we're really missing.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions, that was one that nobody thought was going to get ported over.
Exactly. And then you think about more that are probably coming, like 3D World. I think that already got leaked, didn't it? Like a month ago.
Or Nintendo Land. That's another one that should be ported over.
Pikmin 3 was naturally the next one up, and I think you could officially bury your Wii U in the backyard. Say your piece, because you don't need it anymore. They actually got rid of the updates on the eShop too, because apparently Wii U eShop was still a thing. I didn't even know that, but it is, and they literally got rid of the
Wii eShop was up for a while too, though, right?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say because they only I think in 2016 they like discontinued the online services for like the DS and the Wii or something like that. So
yeah,
like, it's not like
no, it's not like it's
horribly uncommon.
crazy, but like yeah, and I do think that I actually see Reggie in chat saying Smash 4. I don't know, maybe we'll get a Smash 4 port. I dig it. I take it. But like
That'd be fun.
it's just like shut up. Man.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
So here's a couple things that I want.
Don't call it a
Here's a
port,
couple
bro.
questions I want. Yeah. Here's a couple questions I want to ask from this. Number one, what's everybody's like what's your tweet length review of the Wii U? Now that basically everything that matters has been ported over. And number two, is this like Nintendo's big holiday game coming out this year, or like can we expect anything else coming out? Because it looks bleak right now. There isn't really much being talked about like of what's coming out or not.
This might be holding this over for a bit. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be like the big holiday game. They have so many aces up the sleeve. Like you don't know if one day they're gonna be like, oh, here's Metroid Prime 4, or if they're just gonna like, you know what I mean? They have all these weird things that are like open ended.
We really got that update on SMT, which they teased before the Switch came out. We got that update. Remember that? That was another one where it's like, oh, neat. I guess we got an update on that. Weird.
That's what they.
Oh, yeah,
was just guerrilla marketing. I think it's both.
I think like they know what
they're doing. I think partially yes, but also at the same time no.
Yeah,
I'm saying, does that make sense?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think their expertise is not in what the modern day expertise is, but what they have is something that no one else can recreate. And we talked about that a little bit with the IPs and having the games that are actually good, and even the games that like historically like they have like individualized like genres. Like they have a strategy RPG with Fire Emblem, and which is also their biggest mobile game. They have Mario series, which now is like pretty friendly to all ages and still a nice immersive experience. They've got an open world. Zelda's seen some format changes, so that one's interesting. I don't know what to say about the original Zelda concept. I'm sure they'll probably find another IP to take that up. And then like yeah, they're covering their bases. Like if you want a hard platformer, just play Tropical Freeze. I don't know if you guys ever played Tropical Freeze. That game's hard.
Great. It's great.
It's a fantastic game. It will challenge you, just like an old Mario game would. But now that Mario is just your intro game, it doesn't need to be like ball-breakingly hard.
Mario does have some challenging parts, but not like Tropical Freeze. Did a really good ramp up where it started easy, it's very satisfying, and then the medium parts were good, like you were dying sometimes, and then it got hard at the end where you're dying 1,000 times in the same part, which is really fun. And that's what DK games have always been.
Oh yeah. That's a DK game.
Donkey Kong is like actually one of like my blind spots. I haven't played like a lot of the DK like series games.
Drop like 4 of those Sonic games and play one.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's not. Just dude, honestly,
I never owned a Super Nintendo.
Magical armor.
Honestly, dude, play Tropical Freeze. You'll enjoy it. It's be prepared to like actually have to give it some effort. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a content idea I've been sitting on for a while that I'm gonna save for whenever I like build that computer, so that's why I'm not playing a lot of these games like right now. But
now's a good time for it too.
Yeah, well, dude, I've just to kind of piggyback off of that really quick, not to tangent too hard, but Resident Mario Kart extraordinaire Glintendo was even saying that he's like, dude, I'm gamed out right now. Like sometimes you have like
everyone went in
games and everything going on.
Everyone went in a little too hard. That was the thing, is because like when quarantine first came around, I don't think anyone really knew what to expect. Like, how long is this going to be? How much time do I have? Wow, I have this time to play all these things. And then you mount all of the just depression of everything else going on, and then being stuck in your home, and like it just made this formula to where people just sunk into it. So, yeah, I think people finally looking for actual things to do, and that is a good thing. And the world is looking to move forward. Like, it's had to happen.
Yeah, so
we're even looking at sports, right? That's sort of the next jumping point where the show must go on. Sports has been canceled for a long time now, and now it's not. So, we're slowly jumping back in.
Yeah,
my feedback for this website, by the way, there should be a way to disable your camera on and off. I had to do it through my browser.
Hit the pause button on the camera, like your camera.
That do it?
Yeah, you're just.
You can still hear me.
I can still hear you just fine.
Okay, so I can be like.
Yeah, and freeze yourself.
And then be like, "Fuck you!" Yeah, that works.
yeah, you got it.
Talk like a puppet.
I did great.
Anyway,
Ventriloquist.
before we get things moving, Pikmin 3. What's everybody's thoughts?
I'm
Were you excited
excited.
for this?
I'm
Is this what
very
we wanted?
excited. Pikmin 3 is amazing. I don't know if you guys have ever played it or how familiar you
On
are.
the Wii
I got
U?
it.
Yeah, on the
Yeah,
Wii U.
no,
Hell yeah.
I got it on the Wii U.
Dude,
I think it was like one of those games you can get for free with like Club Nintendo or something like that, and I got it. I redeemed it for free, so it was a good
oh
game.
my God, that's right. They used to do that, didn't they? Where you could
Yeah,
actually
remember Club
Nintendo.
Nintendo?
Oh my God, Club Nintendo was so good, dude. That I wish they kept that forever. But the thing I want to talk about with Pikmin
Yeah.
3 is it opens up something that is pretty. I think is exciting because this exists back to 2018. This is literally a clip of Shoyo James, aka Rivers, whatever you know him as, looking like a child playing against Glintendo in a Microsoft store, Pikmin 3 bingo battle. And honestly, like it's kind of fun to watch. It's just a different. You can play it competitively. It's why it's a battle. So if they start adding this kind of stuff online, and I'm able to play this game with people, and I could play Pikmin 3 again, like I'm pretty happy. This game is, if you've never played it, it's very good, very unique, and just it's literally its own thing.
Is this just Nintendo trying to like distract us to let us know that Pikmin 4 is probably not coming till like late 2021?
Yeah, but I think that's
If
okay.
it is,
That's okay. Honestly, it's a good idea because so many games, their development has halted a ton. Like a lot of games have been pushed till next year. Guilty Gear, Halo, like all those games have been pushed super hard. And I know Nintendo won't be immune to that shit either. So having some shit in the back burner and things that you can re-release and get people hyped about, make a little money along the way, and an easy re-release is great right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is they're really on the whole getting their old catalog from Wii U because the Wii U is such a missed opportunity, which we already kind of covered because the marketing was that bad. So now if you have all these games,
kind of sucked, honestly. It was weird.
It was weird because it was like I literally feel like it was a prototype for the Switch.
It was a 50-50 between it was a Wii and a Switch had a kid, and it was like here's the Wii. It's a easy to use, very user friendly, basic system, and that's awesome. And the Wii U had that like the same home screen and all that shit, and then it had a tablet, but the tablet couldn't be more than like 8 feet from the system or whatever the fuck it was.
It wasn't the biggest range, but it was at the time it was kind of revolutionary.
But people liked that, and then the Switch. It was very interesting that for the Switch they went to.
It's just like they had the portability factor along with the here's a hard console to your TV factor, which the Switch basically just took. And the Wii U still used Wii things, like you could still use Wiimotes.
You could use it as a remote. That feature,
yeah,
was
dude.
sick.
That gamepad.
I use that feature all the time. Dude.
It looks like something. So did I. It looks like something that is like from.
That was probably the most useful thing.
Dude, that Wii U gamepad literally looks like Fisher Price, like when you look at it compared to like a Switch, and then you look at the Switch, you're like, this is a system of the gods. Like this thing.
You know
is
what's
good.
funny is the Switch will look horrible shortly. Like give it 10 years.
Yeah, it's gonna look like a child's toy. Because like the Wii U wasn't necessarily like that, but like you look at this thing.
I have one right here. Like
the actual controller looks like a tube TV. Like it's just old.
Just lifting up the curtain here for a second. It's caked in dust. My gamepad actually stopped working like years ago, so that's why I can do whatever the fuck I want with this.
Yeah, like the console is actually the pad now. Like it's crazy, man.
Yeah, like they tried, man. Again, that also falls back to Nintendo's just awful strategy of marketing, where like nobody knew what this was.
Well, there's so many
the
Nintendo
hardcore
products
people knew
like
what it
that.
was.
There's so many Nintendo products like that. Think about like, dude, Nintunis. We were commentating Mario Kart the other day. He pulled out a Game Boy Color with an e-reader. I don't even know if you guys remember what e-readers are.
Oh my god!
You remember that?
Wow.
Like, what a piece of technology. That was cool, but then just disappeared. Just the same with like the Game Boy Color camera that had the printer. Same with the DSi. That was a totally different system, but also a DS because I had like an app store. That app store turned into nothing. Like they have a lot of like half-finished things.
Nintendo is like
some
Nintendo products are like
too much.
No, they're a lot like Stu Pickle inventions. Like they just like stop working like halfway through. They're just like halfway thought out. But yeah, it is what it is, and I'll make sure to either burn this at the stake or donate it to a children's hospital.
I honestly think it's deserving of a proper burial. That thing, especially the way we used it for Smash, like it served us well. I bought some indie games on there. That's the first place I ever played Shovel Knight. I have a lot of memories to the Wii U. Will I ever turn it on again? I don't have to. If it was hacked, I still probably wouldn't have to because I could already hack a Switch. I don't know if you guys knew that, but you can. So it's
You
just
can.
yeah. So I don't know. It literally just a step in the process for Nintendo, just like everything else. That's like why even the whole online stuff, like I don't know, dude. It's as long as Nintendo's been around, as long as they've been doing their things, I also still look at them as like a company that's like just they're just starting to get it. I feel like, but
Yeah.
I feel that way every time they do something. I'm like, oh, this is what Microsoft gave us in 2002 with the Xbox. That's cool.
They're constantly late to the party. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, to be the first one to come out with these ideas. But it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully that the COVID doesn't affect things too hard production wise for a lot of these games. But speaking of things that COVID has affected,
oh yeah,
coronavirus, COVID-19 still continues to be a big point of discussion and conversation throughout the country. Several states are seeing spikes in cases, and while others are seeing slightly less spikes, but it's still a prevalent issue, especially if you look at other countries across the world like New Zealand and Fiji, who I think New Zealand just recorded their first new case of COVID in like over 100 days, like as of today, and I think the country of Fiji hasn't had I think they're like 100 days plus without a new case of coronavirus, which makes me sad because Survivor films in Fiji and they just canceled this upcoming season. There's my reference for the week.
There it is.
Yeah. But, the one big thing that COVID did affect was professional sports. And, as an industry, of esports, all of us are familiar with, we're constantly, compared to in the shadow of real sports. And, as the years have progressed, sports and esports have kind of become much more progressive and have kind of cross streams, more often than not. So I feel like a lot of people look towards what's happening, with professional leagues, such as, the NBA and Major League Baseball, and how they're handling, the coronavirus as to potential solutions of how esports could handle the coronavirus. So, as the relative sports guy on the podcast, I'm just going to paint you guys a picture and catch you up if you're not familiar on what's happening around, the sporting world. It'll take a second. It'll only take a second. So, all major sports just recently restarted back at the end of July. With
how are the Florida Marlins doing? I love the Florida Marlins. Are they having a good time?
Oh, boy, you know what?
Marlins.
They're doing great. Their new uniforms are actually pretty sick. And actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I think they're in first place in the National League East, which is crazy. They're actually one of like the better stories of
didn't they
of 2020.
Is that the team that contracted?
Like, yeah, I was gonna say, aren't they the Outbreak?
Yes. So I was getting to that. So I'm gonna talk about what leagues are, where things were, to begin with, and kind of where we are now. Back in March when everything got canned.
I googled them. The first headline about them, it says Marlins sidelined by coronavirus are feeling great. Manager Don Mattingly says. Wow.
Poor Donnie baseball, man. So
doing great.
Back in March when the NBA was actually the NBA was actually the first major league to shut down. They shut down in the middle of March.
Oh yeah.
Soon followed was the NHL, and they were about done with their seasons. They were about only a handful of games from the postseason. And then obviously, throughout the summer, Major League Baseball was negotiating, how they were going to handle their season, to where eventually they settled from going from 162 games to a 60-game season. And then the schedule has been completely, the big problem that came up there was money and how how much of your contract you were going to get, paid out to. But they decided on 60 games, no fans. Your schedules have been changed to be much more regional, so you're not traveling as much. So you're seeing, you're playing a lot of the teams in your own division, and I think you play the way that they broke it down is that you play your divisional opponents 40 times. So you're playing the same. You're playing one team 10 times, and then you're playing the other 20 games are made up by teams that are regionally very close to you. So using New York as an example, the Yankees are filling in those 20 games against, the Mets and the Phillies and the Pittsburgh Pirates and teams in the teams geographically that are relatively close to where New York is. So I'm going to talk about the leagues that are getting it right are the NHL and the NBA. Granted, half of their seasons were already done, so all they had to worry about was postseason play. And what they have created is the bubble system, where the NBA was the first to coin this. They announced back, I believe, in the end of June that when the league started up back in July 31st, they were going to be playing in Walt Disney World in Orlando because they have, I believe, like 6 campuses and like 6 courts to use in ESPN's Worldwide of Sports in Orlando. So they took 22 teams, because they still had games to finish for seeding purposes. So they took 22 teams plus, team staff and personnel and people that were working for the NBA and quarantined them all in Disney World. They quarantined them up to 2 weeks ahead of time. And I think when they took their first initial test of like 300 or 400, players, I'm kind of spitballing, only 16 people tested positive. And since league play has started up again, and the NBA has been playing games again, they're about ready to actually get into the postseason side of things. They haven't had any positive tests of their players, and the same thing with the NHL. The NHL has 2 bubbles, both in Canada and I believe in Toronto and Vancouver, respectively, for the different conferences. And again, same deal. They expanded their playoffs to I think 22 teams or 24 teams, and they did the same thing. They took teams and personnel that qualified. You quarantine them for 2 weeks, and you have them play with no fans in attendance. And the same thing with the NBA. You're playing with no fans, and I think they're just allowing for the postseason. They're allowing like family and stuff to start showing up too, which is it's been working so far. That's the big thing. So, and then you look at what Major League Baseball is doing, and it has not been working because within a week of the season starting,
the NBA had a lot of ground to make up because of Rudy Gobert. Remember that?
Rudy Gobert, yes.
Rudy Gobert. Yeah. There you go. I was like, what? Yeah, I thought. Anyway, I linked the video, Chris, in the chat. If you want to pull that up.
Yeah, let me check.
Do you remember this, or are you aware of this, Chris?
I think I know the video you're talking about.
Let me check it out.
Please just pull it up on stream.
Sure.
No context. This is right when COVID hit, right before they canceled the season.
All right, hang on one. Sounds good already. All right. Hold on.
It's so bad.
What the heck, dude?
Yeah, so this is, if you're seeing on stream right now, this is Rudy Gobert, who's a star player for the Utah Jazz, and he goes about and touches everything in the room, not really taking things seriously. And Rudy Gobert was actually
talking like he's like, this thing isn't real, basically, and intentionally breathed and touched all the microphones. Like, dude, what the.
I will,
and he was the first player to test positive. He's the reason this whole thing got shut down
quickly. And a bunch on his team tested positive, and the team he's playing against too. That's fucking idiot. Like, what the dude?
He jogs out, gives a little hustle. Dude, I actually in everything you were saying, I didn't realize they reduced it down to regional levels. That makes a lot of sense, and that's very interesting to me for a lot of reasons. Oh, you think about it. You think about all these big franchises, and they usually fill up stadiums, and they make all that money from ticket sales and concessions, and they got all these contracts to pay that are like millions per person, and then they're not making that money to pay those contracts. So the only way to really kind of break even on that is to cut travel costs, right? Because like it's expensive to travel too.
Sure.
So that's pretty interesting. I wouldn't have. I mean, you think about it. Obviously, all the money not coming in, but ways to combat that.
Yeah.
Cut the regions down.
It's funny when you read like the rule set that like Major League Baseball and the Players Association like came up with like while they were planning this. There's a lot of like really like funny rules. Like they've you're not allowed to start fights in baseball this season. You can't, if you're a pitcher, you can't spit or lick your fingers. You're not allowed to high five guys when they like hit home runs and stuff like that. Like they're trying really hard to like to make sure that things, stay safe. And Major League Baseball is one of the cases where they've fucked up for the most part. Within a week of the season starting, as we mentioned, the Florida Marlins, there's a news report that came out that when they were in a series in Atlanta, they were not following hotel protocol, which requires you to stay in your hotel and not, go outside and do stuff. And, that caused an outbreak. within the team, I believe like 20 some odd people tested positive, which resulted in them having games postponed, which affected the Philadelphia Phillies, which is the team that they played when the outbreak happened. So they had games postponed. And then just the last week or so, the St. Louis Cardinals had an internal outbreak. And they've had games postponed. And it's gotten to the point where they actually had to make an adjustment to the rules where if you've had games postponed, you have to play 7-inning doubleheaders to make up for the 60 games. So it's bad. And I think a lot of sports experts, because I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, they're saying that Major League Baseball isn't going to make without a bubble. They've tried to tighten up on restrictions, and there was actually a fight that broke out the other day. So that means that players really don't give a crap about the rules and stuff like that. And I don't think the season's going to finish. Personally, I think it's going to get bad enough to the point. And you've seen it with players. There's players that have been opting out because of this. So my big point that I wanted to get to is that.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah, definitely would.
Fucking paid vacation.
Yeah,
dude.
no, thank you.
Yeah, like I'm good, man. Like that's no skin off my nose.
Like,
but the big reason I wanted
Field just came out. I heard the online's better. I'm just gonna stay at home and play some Smash.
Dude, that's what Le'Veon Bell did.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, he didn't.
He didn't talk about us anymore. I don't think he does.
He's over us, isn't he?
Not over us. I'm sure he still cares, but he just can't publicly. I'm sure that's how it is.
I wonder.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, well.
But so the big thing here that I wanted to bring this up because obviously we use sports as kind of the blueprint for what esports likes to do, and you're seeing two leagues that are succeeding in what they're doing and one league that is not. So if tournaments followed the setting of what Major League Baseball does, where you're not restricting the people that come in, you're not following the social distancing lines and stuff like that, you're going to see outbreaks, which is not a good thing. If you look at how the bubble system's working, and the bubble system has proved to work. So what I'm pitching to you guys, and this is my tinfoil hat, firmly on here, if we get to 2021, and if there's and this is also, if there isn't like a vaccine readily available, which I don't think there's going to be if you listen to the science of things, you could potentially see, what's stopping, like, say, like a big company like Red Bull or like one of these, big companies be like, hey, listen, like, we want to host like a 16-person invitational with like some of your top players. So we'll fly you out. We'll sequester you for 2 weeks to make sure everybody is safe. We'll give you plenty of, we'll make it, beneficial for you to live and create content if that's what you do, while you're quarantining and stuff like that. And, you can have commentators who work remotely or, something like that, like we have been doing, and have people, playing offline in a controlled setting, like a summit style invitational. Who's saying that you can't,
I just don't.
Do I think that should happen?
No.
So here's the thing about that, though, is I feel like depending how good this update 1v1 is, I know it's not perfect. Like, you kind of don't even need to, between all the costs and everything going on there and all the risk, like, you don't even have to take it at this point, because you can throw an invitational bracket right now. Like if there was a sponsor who came to me and said, all right, here's X amount of dollars. I just want an invitational with these players. I'll take the content. And I'm like, okay. So that amount of money, then all it literally goes to is just like getting commentators and the players where they need to be. And then the rest can be done remotely. Like,
how do you get them there?
So, well, that's the thing is that's why online would be it. Like, I don't even, cause
way easier.
It is. And I think this is what it's going to be like this for a while. Cause you're going to have people that quantify the amount of money of if it's worth it to travel or not. And that's going to range so much per person. So it's just like, I don't know. It's hard to imagine that happening. I think it has to do more of that regional thing you were talking about, like even for regular sports.
That's actually what I was just gonna. That's something I was gonna mention.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
Yeah, because you can say in the state of California, you can find a handful of really good players just lying on the sidewalk. Who's saying it's like, oh, you take 8 or 16 like high level 8 or however many players from California, be like, hey, listen, we'll sequester you guys for a couple weeks, make sure everybody's safe, get everybody tested, and it's now. Am I saying that I want that to happen? No. As much as this whole situation sucks, I am in full understanding that there's a global pandemic going on. Esports can take the back burner because the country, everything with coronavirus is still in disarray. People are talking about going back to school in a few weeks, which still blows my
Yeah,
mind.
that's
So.
going to be a big tell.
I feel like the idea is nice, but at this point, there's no need to do that because there's an alternative. Even though it's like diet competitive Smash, it's still there,
Well,
and there's less cost involved with. All right, dude, turn on your Switch at home. That's it. Like,
yeah,
there's
you don't have to.
and it seems like bad press for that company. Oh, you threw an esports tournament? Well, there's a fucking
yeah, all it
pandemic.
takes one positive case, and then outside of that, I also think that like most esports don't suffer from that. I think it's like Smash specific too, because like a lot of because you could play like competitive game of League, Dota, whatever, and
they canceled their biggest thing too. The internationals canceled, and it's caused a big thing because it is different. Like it's like the Super Bowl in the way that impacts like local economies. Like it's in these really cool cities internationally, and like they sell out stadiums for a few weeks. It's very cool. Like it actually is a pretty decent impact on the economics of a city, like the Super Bowl, but obviously on a scale. But they didn't have the international didn't happen. I don't know if it's happening online or not. If it is, I didn't really hear about it. But I think they just postponed it and aren't really doing one this year. So
that's something everybody's feeling. Is the local economies do suffer from some of these things? Like I just think about sports stadiums. Some cities survive off that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say too, baseball, basketball, like quote unquote real sports, don't have alternative options. They can't play basketball on Wi-Fi. It's not a thing.
They're gonna play MLB 2K instead.
That's actually what a few players were doing, like back when the season was supposed to start, because Major League Baseball historically starts, the last week of April, first week of May is when everything gets kicked off, and players are playing each other in MLB The Show. But again, this is just something I've been kind of looking at. I'm just like, maybe just seeing the success of the bubble system, really shows. That it is proven to work, and like like we said, for professional sports, that's great because sports provide it's revenue, it's all that financial stuff that people really care about. But I agree. Like we said, maybe the sports or the most recent patch update will make the online experience more bearable.
I think there's promise.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, there's promise.
Sure.
That being said, though, if you are a professional sports league and you just happen to be stumbling upon this podcast, the bubble system is the way to go. So if you're the NFL, you better get your shit together because I think football is going to be the hardest sport for them to play.
That is
with this whole thing
going on. Full fucking contact, face to face, every
cuts everywhere, just all the things open.
You could argue basketball is a contact sport too. Like that's a contact sport. You're hitting someone every play as well. Like that's baseball. I feel like would be the safest. You don't have to hit people.
Yeah, you don't. You could
slide collisions while you're
unless you play for the Houston Astros, then you deserve to be hit.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
because the thing like football too is you think about all the equipment and all the high impact plays. Like, yeah, that is gonna be something. That'll be the real test. I actually don't think the whole season's going to happen. I don't think so. I can't imagine it. Like, I'm going to pick my fantasy football team anyways, but do I expect it to finish? No.
The crowd that loves football, the core football fans, also probably aren't huge fans of social distancing or, corona.
Oh, no.
So I think that might be okay, actually. I think they might just be able to play it out and, just whatever bad press they get, they can
Well, first of all, the NFL could do whatever they want. They're they are like the biggest company in the world somehow, even though they're just an American sport. But
and they did historically put a thing on one of our videos. So
yeah, man, they copy so quick. The moment it uploaded, before it even processed.
They're in your hard drive.
Yeah, they were watching, but not.
Yeah, but listen, it is nice. It is nice for just a sense of like semi normalcy to see. To see sports again, as a sports buff, it is nice to see. But I don't know. Baseball is one of my favorite sports, and I don't know if it's going to be able to finish just because of how poorly they've really gotten out of the gate in handling this. So we'll see what happens, and I'm also going off the fact that vaccines are in I think one of the vaccines being tested is in stage 4 of human testing or something like that. So. The science shows that things are progressing well, but again, I don't know. With the way that things are being handled here in the United States versus how they are other places, who's to say that we're not going to be stuck in this for, until this time next year? I don't know.
I'm just gonna wait till after the election to say anything because I feel like everything's gonna change after that. Like whatever news is now is gonna in November is just gonna be different. Like
I agree.
who knows? All this could magically go away, or it could get worse. Like there's just no way of knowing. Like there's
Information is tricky.
information. That's my only takeaway here.
The future is unpredictable. I agree. I agree that I think a lot can change between now and. I mean, think of how quickly shit changed from January to March.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
So
Just look at the podcast titles we had,
dude. I love looking at the podcast
titles. Got
titles.
more depressing.
Before, yeah, when everything's going on, you could really read a story. They are playlisted in season or just in one big run. So if you're ever bored one day and want to see Smash, if you want to read what happened in Smash in the past 2 years, 3 years, via headline, you could. So, you know.
Speaking of years, Chris, this past week would have been Super Smash Con week, which means we've officially been podcasting for 2 years.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Because
Yeah.
wait, yeah,
SmashCon.
2 years.
So SmashCon, yep, SmashCon 2018 was the first official gloves off episode that we did back in 2018. It was
Well,
dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, yeah, I don't know. We did it.
We did
We did
the
it.
thing.
Yeah, so I don't know.
We've let the world into our house. They've met my crying nephew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they were there for the lost episode where Discord crashed and it was just a race between Haz and Ajax to see who would survive.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's so strange thinking about it because we've kind of just been doing our own thing here, and I feel like just now the podcast feels almost like a finished product or something that I could really really do something with. But I've still been having fun with it. Today's been a pretty good day. It's been fun catching up with you guys. I guess we are sort of about at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we kind of.
Yeah, we're about there.
Yeah, we covered a good bunch today, and honestly, this stuff is the stuff in between the lines is the most exciting stuff. On the cover here, you see a picture of Small Battlefield, and that's crazy. But I don't know. I do think the discussion about Nintendo as a company and looking at how many unfinished products they have, and then looking at how Real Sports is handling pandemic, and then we're obviously an esports field. There's just so many things changing and so many new things to look forward to in the next year. I don't think everyone's really hit that collective hey, let's have hope in the future, but it has been very interesting at the very least seeing everything progress because if anything, since all this stuff started, there's been a lot of progression one way or the other. Podcast is no different. So with that in mind, it's definitely been, it's been fun, guys.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. Granted, we're not.
It's over. It's been fun. That's it.
Yeah.
No, it has been fun, and there's some other ideas that we're working on in the background to some other show. Not just in conjunction with Gloves Off, what we do every week. I've had a couple of podcast ideas in my head.
Things will change.
So Chris, now we're at
the
2 year mark. This is where I demand to do a podcast where I watch every episode of Survivor and review.
I gotta get back to you on that.
Being said, do Jersey Shore as a group.
Oh God. I don't know what to say to either of those.
I'm
not proud of it.
Me too, dude. It was great. What a great time to love.
I was in college, not a care in the world. Imagine.
I was gonna say, as we're doing our sign-outs this week, let's talk about
good
what
old 1984.
Yeah. Oh my God, you just had to knock
something
like
that.
So as we do our outros this week, let's do what we've been watching, what we've been playing, because we haven't done one of those in a while. So I'll go first because I've been doing pretty much nothing. You can follow me on Twitter at KoopaNJ. I've been trying to get back into the swing of things, but life's been busy. Honestly, I've been working 6 days a week, and I got personal matters to attend to. So it's been a lot of busy moving parts on my part, but I'm still around there, and been playing Paper Mario: The Origami King. I'm almost about done with that. I think I'm getting near the end. It feels like, and it's been a stellar experience. And maybe I'll talk about it on a podcast sometime. Hint, hint. And I've been, I'm one movie away from finishing my Marvel Cinematic Universe rewatch with my partner.
Let's go.
We're almost done with that. and I'm currently in the midst still with Parks and Recreation. The show's amazing.
Good show.
Very good show.
That's a cozy show. Like if you're going at a whole bunch of movies and you're kind of just knocking them out, that's like a good in between.
Yeah, I think my next big movie journey I think is going to be to watch all the X-Men films again because I haven't seen a lot of them actually.
Those are cool. I like those.
That's all right.
Yeah,
It's a lot of them.
They're okay. Yeah, I know. I'm ready for it. I'm a Sonic
Hugh
fan.
Jackman's a cool guy. So like,
Thanks.
yeah.
He's very cool. What about you? What about you, Mr. Crystalodian? What's up?
Dude, I've been actually playing a lot of games, and I've been having a lot of fun with the variety because I'm coming off of like a really heavy Fire Emblem Three Houses binge, which is still in rotation. But I've been very into emulators recently. I've been playing Aria of Sorrow. I don't know if you guys have ever played that. It's a Castlevania game. Incredible. It's the one on the Game Boy Advance. Let's see. Aside from that, I've also been playing. Yeah, I think I mentioned last time. I've been playing like DKC, a lot of old games. I'm playing Mega Man 9 again because I'm a hater of it, but it's actually a pretty good game. So like I'm running through it, man. It's been pretty good. I've been enjoying games again. I've been playing some Smash a little bit here and there.
Aria on the 3DS.
That's on the Game Boy Advance. Aria of Sorrow.
I started the one on the 3DS actually.
Dude, those Game Boy Advance DS Castlevanias are
Very
incredible. They're definitely better than the originals. The original godlike, but
they stay in the 2D, and that's it. The 3D ones are terrible.
Well, the cool part about I guess the 3D Castlevanias, those weren't that great. There was that one on PS2.
Castlevania 64.
Yeah, Castlevania 64. There's one. I never played
that.
What
about the Castlevania fighting game? How about that?
Castlevania, they did the 2D that was like the very NES or even SNES that was like known just for being difficult and kind of tight, clunky kind of movement, and then they did like Castlevania game or Symphony of the Night and like the Metroidvania style games, which wasn't its own like revolutionary. Like that's the difference. Like Sonic never even had that. Like they had the one note that was good, and that's it. Castlevania,
dude, the thing about like Castlevania is not only did it do it graphically, they did it like gameplay wise. They added abilities. The story's really cool. Like this game, I can't recommend this enough. You guys, Nintendo's not sponsoring this podcast, so I could say it. Just emulate this, and you'll be pretty happy. You'll run through it in like 5 hours, 10 hours, and you'll feel good about it. Anyways,
I'm so mad at put Alucard in Smash, but I feel like I already know the answer. What you've been playing lately has, but what have you been playing? What have you been watching?
You know what I've been playing? I've been playing a ton of fucking WoW, a lot of WoW.
Classic.
Yes.
Okay. I respect that. That's pretty fun to get into. Like if you're just like.
All my friends from college are playing it.
That's cool.
It's really fucking cool because it's like how we hang out now. Like we'll play WoW and then we'll get Discord and drink together and like play whatever.
That's pretty good stuff. I'll give you that. I think that having that and that's the thing, right? Because you could like sink yourself in the WoW and then hate your life for it, but like if you're with the boys and you're making like a day out of it, it's amazing. Like that, and it's like a top tier experience.
Great. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, yeah, it rules. I'm having a great time. I've been playing the whole podcast, so that rules.
Dude, that's even better. It's amazing.
Well, dude, like a lot of the things you
can.
Do, mental, facilities. It's like it's fine.
No, it really is. That's kind of the whole point of streaming, isn't it? You're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we could even add the gameplay in just for the fun of it. But for another day, maybe that'll be the next content. It's very possible we could do that, by the way. But we could talk about that another time. So, anyway,
you watching anything? Watching anything cool right now?
I forget what we've been watching. Not a lot. I've been reading again. Actually, I've been reading a couple.
Dude,
things.
Me too. It's good.
Nice. I read before I go to bed, and not to.
It makes you so tired.
It does. It's great.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, you know what?
It's boring, but because like it's satisfying. I don't know. It's easy. It's better than just staring at the screen and looking at Twitter.
Oh my god, so much. Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. That just reminded me. I watched the first episode of The Last Dance because it's on Netflix now. So
yeah.
I'm gonna binge that at some point. Yeah, that's it for this week. And again, apologies for the lull in scheduling. There is literally a hurricane and other stuff, but you can like us and follow us and leave a comment down on the YouTube VOD. We are on Spotify and all that other fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you can check it out. We're gonna be back next week with some more stuff. Maybe an in-depth review of something that one of us has been watching or playing. Show and tell.
Yeah, we could do show and
Maybe.
tell. But anyways, guys, yeah, thanks. Obviously, keep the Twitter pages, YouTube page, all those things easy to find, all in this broadcast, yada, yada, yada. You already know. But anyways, thanks for watching, and we will catch you next time.
See you guys.
Are we off?
Almost. And...